Picture this. It's the dawn of 2024 and you're poised for success. Why? Because you've established your why. This isn't just a whim or a hobby. It's the passion that propels you forward, the core of your ambition. Next, you assess your current position. Where do you stand? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? Honesty is key here. Now, envisage your destination. What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? Set those goals. Make them smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. With your destination locked, it's time to map out your plan. Break down your goals into manageable steps, then start stepping. Remember, action without reflection is aimless. Record your results, analyze your performance, and adjust your plan accordingly. The path to success in 2024 isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Take meaningful action, keep your eye on the prize, and continually strive for improvement. Here's to a successful 2024.
You muted.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good to be here again. Today's a very cold, wintry Thursday morning, and it's really nice to have Wilhelm with me today. Daniel, he's not here today. Unfortunately, he's got things that has happened, and he cannot be here. But today we're going to be talking about something that's actually basically to my heart, and that is about, you know, in life we procrastinate, and I'm a really good one at that. I procrastinate a lot, and I think about it and I rethink about it, and I actually don't get down and actually start doing it. And so the question here really is it not better just to jump in, make that mistake, rather than just sit there too frightened to actually even start to move? And that's really the question. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. And this is really specifically relating to our Vision 2024. The whole process of what we're doing here is to talk about how to actually make this year stand out, be the best year ever. And that's where we are, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So my name is David Bauer. I'm part of the CEO Business Club, and we've got some really exciting things happening there at the moment, and I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. But I'm going to ask Wilhelm to introduce himself. Welcome to the show, Wilhelm. Nice to have you here again. Over to you.
Good morning, David. Yes, thank you for this opportunity to talk again on your show. Yeah, my name is Wilhelm Lombard. I'm a life energy coach. So I believe energy is everything. And I help companies and individuals to have more energy, to find a strategy to increase their energy and their effectiveness. Because if you are not energized, you are not really effective in what you are doing. So that's what I help people to do. So let's energize ourselves for this year that is left. I can't believe that the year is running so fast. But yes, let's just do it, eh?
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to tell you a story. I was in a scenario where I used to work for a company called Sun International, and part of my job that I had was to actually procure casino licenses. And you can imagine a huge, daunting task to do this. And it wasn't just from, you know, putting the documentation together. It was actually getting other people to buy into an idea, which was basically started with just a thought, and then it had to be embellished, and the whole thing was very complicated, as you can imagine. It was a scenario of identifying, you know, first of all, where are we going to put it? Where's the license? Where's this casino going to be? What's it going to look like? Who are going to be the architects? Who are going to be the engineers? Who's going to be the urban designers? Who's going to be the traffic people? And then assembling that whole team, and then actually going along and putting a theme to the whole process, and then actually taking that and actually creating it, but all creating it on paper. Obviously, the land would still be there. Actually, we had to go and procure the land as well. And then basically identify the market, do a market study, etc. And obviously, this was a very daunting task. So I did this for a number of years, and I basically did all the Sun International new casino licenses in South Africa, except for obviously the Menlyn Main here in Pretoria. So it was a very daunting task to do that. But the question was that in 2003, I decided to go on my own, and I basically started a consulting business. And I then basically, I had the opportunity of, I was no longer in corporate, I was no longer getting a salary, I had to go along and get myself. And luckily enough, Sun International supported me initially. But then the thing came where I needed to actually, I realized that, Sun International wouldn't sustain me, and I had to actually go along and look for other work. And I heard that Soga Sun, their competitor, needed to renew some of their licenses, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to jump in. And it was very, very scary because I know I had to go along and speak to the right people, go and find them first of all, get through all those barriers. People like, guess they're busy, can't talk to them. And then after that, I had to then go along, and I was invited to a meeting and I had to present. But I remember the thing was that I actually had to jump in. I had to jump into this. And I was scared. I was fearful. But the thing was that I did it. And because I did it, basically I procured enough work for the next 10 years just because I actually went along and I said, this is what I'm going to do. I had the confidence and I jumped in, even though there was fear. So the question I have for you is, what are you fearful to do, but you know that you should perhaps do it? Is there something out there that you should be going to do, going to approach certain people? And maybe there's a lot of fear in yourself, but one needs to overcome that fear. And I'm going to ask Wilhelm maybe to talk about how does one overcome that fear of actually going and stop procrastinating and actually get things done. Wilhelm, would you like to comment on that?
Yes, thank you, David. Sorry, I just needed to find that button, the unmute button. I think it's very important to ask you a few questions. What frustrates us the most in life is usually what we want and what we have. That dissonance, that difference, drain a lot of our energy, and it even make us sick. People feel so frustrated and sick about this negativity in their life because what they want and what they have is two different things. And when I often ask people, but what do you really want in life? It's sometimes very difficult for them to know what they want. They just want to be successful, or they want to be free, or they want to be happy. But that's what's happiness, what's free, or they want money. What's money? I mean, you need to be much more specific about what you really want in life. And then there's the restraining forces about your dreams are usually time and money. So one need to take that out of the equation, or then work on that. Now, as a life energy coach and trying to help people to perform at very best, and companies to perform at their best, for me, I talk about the different energy tanks. And it's always important to think about those energy tanks. Those are your spiritual energy tank. That's where it's all about your meaning and purpose, your value system, your relationship with God, and those type of things. Then there's the physical dimension or energy tank, and that's about your physical health, your energy, your taking eating good nutrition, good food, sleep, drink water, exercise. Those things are quite important to fill that tank. There's your social tank. You need some connections, some relationship, and people around you. it's important to fill that tank with the right people and the right relationships. There's your mental tank, what you're thinking about. And I will actually get back to that one now. And of course, your financial tank and your work tank. Now, finances are quite important, but remember, those two goes together: finance, work, and finance, because you need to add value to be able to get compensated for that. So that's very important, that you add the value, and that you find something, and all this energy tanks should sort of be activated, because you are a holistic person. And the moment when we get those things in place and we think along those different energy tanks, along those lines, filling it, it's much more easier to get to our dreams and what we really want. But there are realities. We must remember. Maybe you might say, I want to be successful. But what is success? What is success for you? Define it, and define it in all those, measure it according to those different energy tanks. Is it part of your purpose in life? Your why? How will you feel emotionally about that? How will it influence your family situation if you are going to get what you want? Physically, I mean, if you just work and you never have time for yourself or your family, or you can't exercise, or it's really bad for your health, then it's no use making a lot of money. So all those things play a very, very important role, but it's so important to know what you really want. You must be clear about what you want. You know, the biggest problem why people are battling or are in the survival mode, because lots of people are just surviving. And what is survival? Survival is where you just come up for air every now and then, and just this month, or if I can just get through this year, or whatever. And that is not life. And those people have no vision. You can't have vision if you are just trying to survive. So you need to have a vision. Successful people, yes, they are successful. They got maybe the cars, the homes, the stuff and everything, but they have limited vision. When you really have a full vision is where you are a person of significance, and where you live your purpose, where you contribute, where you help other people. And can you see how, as I'm talking, you can feel the energy going up? It's more and more energy. That's when if you are at significance and you got this vision, that's where you don't work anymore. You just enjoy life, because whatever you do, you add value to people, and they will compensate you for that. And that is where you want to be. So it's all started by this frustration that you sit with, and then you need to say, but okay, I'm not going to live in the past with the frustrations. I'm going to change my reality, change my personality, become a new person, new thinking, get the energy back, and then move towards your dream. And of course, you mentioned the fact that you procrastinate sometimes. We all do, but it's very important that when we have this dream, that we need to take action. You know, lots of people wish, they hope, they pray even, but they never take the action. You need to do something. And the moment when you take that action, it's very important that you always see your target. What's your target? Where are you going? We are so sidetracked nowadays, and very often we lose our focus. We lose what we tend to look at so many other things. So if you look at what you want and you see your target, and then of course you need to keep it in your sights. You need to measure. You need to say, but listen, am I still on track getting there? And then of course focus your energy on it. Focus your energy. All your energy tanks must be activated to be able to get to your purpose. And the moment when you get that, everything is just something different in your life. Then 2024 becomes a walk in a park. You enjoy life, you feel free. It's not a matter of you are there already, but you are moving towards that. You are on your journey. And at the end of this year, the 31st of December 2024, you can look back and say, this was all worthwhile and you enjoyed your life. And it's the best year of your life then. Sorry for talking so much, but yeah.
Well, absolutely. You know, I actually want to do a different take on this, and I'll tell you a story. About 24 years ago, and you know, if you look at me, you'll know 24 years ago. It wasn't so long ago, but I was about 40 years old, and I'd become a Michelin man. Now, I don't know if you know the Michelin tire guy, Bib. He is that guy that, like, he's white and he's like quite, he's got round rolls on him, big tires and stuff. And I was very much like that. And I was basically, I was working, but there was like, I don't know, I was in a relationship at the time, and I thought everything was fine. And I thought all my energy tanks were okay. But something happened. And I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, but it's quite a frightening experience. I was sitting, this was in Dunkeld. I don't know if you know Dunkeld in Johannesburg on Oxford Road. So I was driving and I came to the road, it was red, there was traffic, and I was sitting in my car and I was actually talking on my cell phone, but I had a cable and I had the earphones on, and my cell phone was sitting on my seat, on my passenger seat. And suddenly there was a smash. And when I looked there was glass everywhere, and this guy put his hands in, basically came into the car, through the window, grabbed the phone, and obviously just ran. And I sort of didn't think. I went into automatic mode, and I switched off my car, took the key, ran, got out the car. Now I'm in the traffic, and I locked the car, luckily. And then there were two guys standing there, and they kind of hit me, but not physically. They sort of bumped me like this, and I sort of pushed my way through them. Now remember, I was a Michelin man at that time in my life, and I started to run after this guy. And I ran and I ran and I ran. And basically, one block, I was really out of breath. I thought I was going to die. I was huffing and puffing, and I was screaming blue murder at this guy, telling him I was going to do all terrible things to him. And he was running crazy, and I was running after him. Now you can imagine this. And now the people that were like behind me, obviously now blocked the road, were hooting, but that no one got out to help me. And there I'm running after this guy, and then I come to the second block, and now I'm running over the road, and I come to the second block, and now I'm exhausted. I'm totally unfit. I can't, I think I'm going to have a heart attack. And luckily, this guy got such a fright, because I don't think he expected someone to run after him. He dropped the phone. So guess what? I got the phone back. And I picked up the phone, and I was finished. I couldn't even take another step forward. And I was like, oh. And then I walked back to the car, and people were like shouting at me, like, move on, get on. And I thought, gee, no one helped me. Here I am, like the guy stealing my phone. Nobody helps me. Anyway, long story short, I kind of ignore them. I get back into my car, and I switch on the car. Now this basic, and I realized that my hand's bleeding. Obviously the glass had hit my hand, and I was bleeding, and there was glass all over the car. So I get back in the car, and I start to drive, but then I started to shake, and I was shaking like this, and I thought, and I had to actually, where Four Nose is in Dunkeld, I had to stop there. And it was terrible. I was like shaking and stuff. And I realized it was an awakening to me that I am totally, totally unfit. I'm totally unfit. At 40, I was totally like a Michelin man. I was like big and had like rolls on me, and my tummy stuck out like a mouth. and so on. And there was a realization that I was in a really bad state. My fitness level was in a bad state. My health was in a bad place. And 2 weeks later, I actually went to collect a friend of mine who was on the way from Cape Town back to England. And at the airport, they had a bit of time, and I went and collected them and went to Empress Palace. And we went into Empress Palace, and we went to the fitness center there. Now, I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's unbelievable. It's amazing. I really suggest you go to that gym. It's like a Roman baths, you know. And we got to the reception, and there was this little article, USN. I don't know if any of you take USN products. And there was this 12-week program to get back on track as far as get your fitness. And there and then I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. But there was a guy standing behind the counter, and I started talking to him about it, and he said to me, you know what, I would suggest if you really want to do that, and obviously now he's looking at a Michelin man, right? He says, you need a coach. And I looked at this, I thought, uh-oh, here comes the money spending. And he said, no, if you want to achieve that, you need a coach. And I then said, okay. But I made a decision, and I jumped into it because there had been a realization of where I am in my life, and I had to jump in. And it was a situation where that coming week, after I met that guy, I sat down. I said, okay, what do I need to do? And I put a plan together. And the plan was I had to do exercise 6 days a week. So that 1 day off, 6 days a week. I had to go on an eating plan, and I had to do this for 12 weeks. Plus, I had to take a photograph of myself initially, and with a newspaper. And on those days, there were still newspapers, right? With the date. So I did this. And because I had a coach, and because now I'd made that decision to jump in, I started to do it. Well, my life changed. Initially, for the first like 3-4 weeks, I saw no change. I was exhausted. I'd go home and sleep straight after the hour workout. I was absolutely finished. And obviously now I had to fit this in with work. But things changed for me because now I had jumped in, I'd made a decision, and I was committed, and I was accountable, and I had a coach who was actually there. Okay, this is what you got to do. And he took me through the exercises. After 6 weeks, I started to notice a little bit of a difference in me. And I thought, wow, okay, this is working. But it was like a curve like this, you know, and then it started to go up. By week 8, I was like, I actually now noticed that I was stronger. I was pushing more weights. I was able to do more exercise. I wasn't totally exhausted. I didn't need to sleep every time after the exercises that I'd done. By week 12, my whole body had changed. It's unbelievable how my body had changed. But it was because I jumped in, but also because I'd taken a decision that this is what I was going to do. And the question I have for the viewers today, what are you doing? Is there first of all a realization of where you are in your life, where you perhaps don't want to be? I was a Michelin man. I didn't want to be like that. And the net result of this whole story is if I could find that guy who had broken my window and basically tried to steal my phone, I would actually thank him, because he initiated something within me to realize where I am in my life. And I was not only able to become fitter and healthier, but everything else I did in my life, I did better. My brain opened up. I was able to do more. I was much more motivated to do, and I became so much more successful in my life. And I was telling you earlier about, the Sun International, and then going for Solar Sun and so on. That was during that time that I was suddenly able to do so much more, and I became so much more confident in myself. that I actually did want to start my own business, that I did actually go along and approach Sogo-san. And I think this is where it comes to. So it's great to understand all the tanks that one needs to fill, but you also need to understand and get that realization of, hey, this is where I am. I don't want this in my life anymore. I want to be something else. I want something better. And until you get that, you're going to stagnate. You're going to stay where you are. So the question is, I'm not suggesting you go out there and you look for a guy to break your window to motivate you to, to do things. But often when there is an event in one's life where you actually have that realization, hey, I don't want to be this Michelin man anymore. I actually want that. And then you actually go and do something about it, and you actually jump in. And the most important thing, obviously, get the right tools around you to actually achieve that. And that's what we're here to do on Vision 2024, is to actually give you those tools, but also to give you the realization that I can talk as much as you want, but Adam can talk as much as he wants. But unless there's a realization from within yourself to actually do the change and be the change within yourself, you're never going to move. You're going to stay where you are. You're going to stagnate. And if you're happy with that, great. But if you're not, then you need to do something. And maybe, Wilhelm, would you like to comment on what I've just spoken about?
Well, thank you, David. It's so sad that we sometimes need to wait for an event like this. Yours turned out very well, but there's lots of people that have a stroke, a heart attack, or whatever, and they never the same after that. And then they want to change it. Then they want to come up with a new plan, and they want to live healthy and all those things. I always say, we all, especially if you do business, you have a business plan, but few people have a life energy plan. And what is a life energy plan? A life energy plan is a plan that will take you to 80 plus years of quality life. It's so sad that many people, successful entrepreneurs, halfway they are burning out. It started with your relationships usually. Relationships start to burn out. That's when people divorce and all those things. And the people that they really love and they work, sometimes people say, but I do it for my family. That's why I put so much work in. And they are so out of balance because they never get to the family, and they lose their family. They lose their kids. One of the best things for me is that I never try to be too successful in life in one area of my life. I try to have this balance in life. And now at 62, when I look back, maybe I'm not the richest guy in town, but my family, my kids think I'm a smart guy. They think I'm the best person out, and I'm not, but they think I'm the special guy. And that's the best thing. That's the best reward that you can actually have, because if your kids think you are smart, then you achieved. What if your kids think, if you get to 60 and your kids think you're the biggest arsehole in town because you were never there for them and all those things, or when you get to 60 and you can't even fasten your shoes because you are so unhealthy, or maybe you never reach the time to be able to see your grandkids. I got 5 grandkids now, and it's a wonderful blessing. I can play with them. They get tired. I don't get tired. So and I'm not a gym fundi or junkie or whatever you want to call it. I'm just trying to live a balanced lifestyle. And balanced is a never-ending story. You don't have balance naturally. It's like your attitude. You need to work on your attitude every day. You need to work on your mindset. All those things. It's a workout of all these different life dimensions. And the moment when you get that right, you will have the energy. As you've mentioned, the moment when your physical tank was actually solved, your mental tank were working much more effective, and so on and so on. Relationships become better. Everything is just better because of this. But the moment when you're out of balance, you can be physically okay, but mentally not okay, or maybe your relationships suck, and all those type of things. So that's why it's so important that it's not so difficult to do that. But we need to come to a place like you did. As I said, luckily it turned out well for you, but you could have died there because of a heart attack, and luckily you didn't. But we need to become aware of our life energy plan and start to plan your life before you actually start your business, because then when you get all these energy tanks in line, then your business will also be a success. So that's very, very important to look at it holistically, I believe.
No, absolutely. I went to a church service last night, and one of the guys, the pastor, was talking about, alles is mooi, né? And what he said, which was quite amazing. He said, we are put on this earth to work. We are here to look after. We are here to put into a garden, and we're here to work that garden. And I think that's, when you realize that we're all here to do something, here to add value, not only to ourselves, but to others around us. And that it's not he called it, it's not because of sonde dat ons moet werk. It's not because of our sins that we must work. It's because we are here to live and that we're here to add value. And that was a big realization for me, that, even, people talk about, hey, when you're over 60, you must retire. Really, I'm not going to retire. And the biggest value that one can add is to actually pass on the experience that we have to yourselves. And I think that's what we are trying to achieve here, is to help you to, from our experiences, just if you could take one nugget away with you and just apply that tool, that thought process, then we've actually achieved something. And that's my aim. My aim is really to help the listeners, you out there, to actually, learn something, and actually then go and apply it and think about what we're talking about. I think, if I look at Wilhelm's lifestyle and what have you, I don't have that lifestyle that Wilhelm has. I have a 14-year-old child, so I started late in my life. So I don't have grandkids. So we're coming from two very different perspectives here. And I'm not saying my lifestyle is bad because I don't have grandkids, but I've still got, that to look forward to. And that's why I need to stay as young as possible, So that's really what we're here to do. We're here to help you to look at things. And the question that I'm asking you as an audience and listening in, what do you need to do today? What do you have to jump into and get rid of that fear and actually just do it? Wasn't it Tom Edison who said, he found 1,000 ways how not to make a light bulb? I mean, all of us will fail in whatever we do. So why not start today? Because if you don't start today, you're never going to get it right anyway. So don't be scared to start. Just do it, and just make sure you're doing it with an informed, like for myself, there was a program, the USN program. I went and did that USN program, and someone else had put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into actually creating that program, and it worked for me. But then I also had a coach, so I did things the right way. So the thing to do here is to do things the right way. Don't go and do things and don't do it with information. Identify what you want to do. Do it properly, as Wilhelm says. you need a plan. Put a plan together. Go and find out who's the best person to help you. There are many coaches out there, and it's up to you. But all successful people have a coach, and that's the whole process. You need somebody to keep you at account. So yeah, Wilhelm's actually at the moment helping another business. Maybe you can just talk about that, Wilhelm. And he's helping that business in a team dynamic to actually. But maybe Wilhelm, instead of me telling about it, you tell about it. Well, tell us a little bit about the company that you're helping at the moment.
Thank you, David. Yes, you mentioned now that one need to do something the right way. Now, this workshop that I do with them, I call it doing the right things right. We can do the right things wrong, and we can do the wrong things right, and of course, the wrong things wrong. So, but it's all about doing the right things right. Now, the question is, what is right? And I believe over the years and with studies and looking at what successful people do, I try to get out those things that successful people do and people that you can look up to, and what the Bible gives us and all those things, scriptures, and that stood the test of time and all those things. And I try to combine that. Now, with this company, for instance, it's a manufacturing company, and I've been talking to these guys over a few months already, and they just can't get to it, and they want to fix their processes and whatever. And at last, they came to me and they said, "Listen, we tried everything. The problem that we sit with workers, and they lack energy. They are not moving. They are not doing their best. There's lots of internal politics and all those things. And if they are not going to do something, they will close down by the end of this year." And I start to work with them, and the whole idea is to first work with each and every individual. One must remember, a business is made up of individuals. That's your most valuable asset. If your people is not okay, your equipment can be 100%, your processes can be in place, but the people really is still the most valuable asset. And I said to them, the very first thing that one need to do is to create a positive, energetic work environment. If you can do that, the people, the staff will be satisfied. When they're satisfied, they will do their best work. The clients will become satisfied. They will become loyal, and that will lead to profit growth and what you want in life. You want this company to grow. So, and then of course, the very important thing to create that positive, energetic work environment. Who's responsible for that? And those are the leaders. And I always say, but who's the leader? You are the leader wherever you are. You can be the T-girl for that matter, or whatever position. Wherever you are, where you create a positive, energetic work environment, it will influence the rest around you. But it's absolutely impossible to create that positive, energetic work environment if you are not okay with yourself. And I find most people don't have purpose in life, they don't know themselves, and all those things actually, like procrastination, everything push you down, and you will not be able to reach your full potential. And when I start working with this, now I must tell you, the moment when I walk into that, let's say, lecture room or whatever, there's 20 people in it, and they are so negative, you can't believe it. You can even feel that negativity. They look at you and say, "But what are you doing here?" And in just a few moments, things start to change, because I always say, I'm here for you, not for the workplace. I'm here to help you as a person to handle life much better. And the moment when they realize that, I can tell you, you can't believe what happened, and the feedback I got. And people are hugging me and say thank you for what I did, they come back with tears in their eyes, and for the first time they said, I went back home, I had much more energy, and usually I shout and scream at my kids and everybody there, and I just decided I'm not going to do that. And just that change, they come back with stories and say, but you won't believe, my kids say, what happened to your mother, mommy? You just this nice person. What's wrong with you today? Because yesterday you were shouting and screaming. So it's all about us, and the main thing there is we need to change. For things to change, we need to change. It's like the law of the farm. Whatever you sow, you will reap. So if you sow a bad attitude, you will reap a bad attitude, and so on and so on. So if you sow negative thoughts in your mind, you will get the negativity. And it's all about that mind shift and change. Change is the thing. You know, if you want to become a butterfly, we need to change from being a caterpillar and go through the pain, through the cocoon, and then develop into this wonderful butterfly. So it's so possible for us. We got everything in us to be able to be the best person that we can be. So yeah, it's about doing the right things right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think your program's absolutely fantastic. When I was at Sun International, I actually put in place a system called Pay for Performance. And you know, one of the challenges we had at Sun International was they basically outsourced all the services. So they kept the core, which was the gambling side of it, and then in the casino environment, they obviously had a hotel and they had restaurants, and they had housekeeping and the security and cleaning and gardening and all those services. And those were all outsourced to other people, other companies. And the biggest challenge that existed was actually getting them all to work together as one. So when the people came to the resort, they were coming to a Sun International resort, and all the people that worked there were Sun International representatives. But in reality, they weren't. They were, you know, Prestige or Fidelity or Keith Gersten Garden Services or whoever they were. And so the biggest thing that we had to do was actually get them to be cohesive, a cohesive team. And what happened was we used a similar system what Wilhelm did. Just sorry, my dogs are having a fight here. Hold a second. Wilhelm, just take over quickly.
Yeah, no, well, David, your dogs, he is just sorting out the dogs now. But yeah, so I think, you know, as people we can change. I remember when in 2010 when we had the soccer World Cup soccer here, for 3 weeks there was no crime in South Africa. You know, there was just no crime, and I can tell you there's lots of crime every day. But people decide that, listen, we are not going to do crime. It's a decision. We can change our lives just like that if we decide to do it and to do the right things right. It's incredible how the power that we have everything in us. We are self-healing and all those type of things. Actually, if we do the right things right, everything can change for us. You can carry on, David.
I love that. Do things right, the right way. Yeah. So anyway, just to carry on with the pay for performance system. So basically, the whole idea was to actually get people to understand how they actually can influence a customer and give them an extraordinary experience through just their attitude. And so what we did was we worked on actually changing their attitude. And one of the most amazing things for me was much later in my life, I was in a shopping center. Actually, I think it was a big Pick and Pay or Hyperama. And this guy saw me and he came to me, and obviously I didn't recognize him. And he said to me, "You David Barnes?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Yo, you know what? I want to thank you. I said, okay, what's this about? He said, no, I want to thank you for helping me in my life. That program that you did with the pay for performance at this one resort that we did really changed my life. And I just want to thank you for that. So that was such an accolade for me. And I just always remember that, and was just somebody who obviously I touched and I've given a nugget to. So that's what we're here to do, is to give you nuggets. And if you want to learn more, DM myself or Wilhelm, and let us meet with you, and we can help you, in a way. We host this every Thursday, 8 o'clock. We have guest speakers in, and we talk about a various number of subjects. But the whole aspect is to give you nuggets and give you tools so that you can take those away with you to actually apply to make this year the best year ever. So I really like to thank you for being here today, for listening in. I hope you enjoyed it. Put some comments in the chat. Invite some people around. Come and join us next Thursday. We'll be having another very interesting conversation. And we talk about different things. We don't talk about the same stuff every week. So it's always something new and something different. But the essence of what we're talking about is to make this year the best year ever. Well, Helen, would you like to conclude?
Thank you, guys. No, thank you, David. That was a nice chat, and all the best to each and every person, and have an energetic day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Until next time, I'm going to play the video and take some nuggets from the video. I think it's a very powerful little video, very short, but very powerful. Thank you. Cheerio. Have a great week. See you next Thursday. Thanks for take care.
Picture this. It's the dawn of 2024 and you're poised for success. Why? Because you've established your why. This isn't just a whim or a hobby. It's the passion that propels you forward, the core of your ambition. Next, you assess your current position. Where do you stand? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? Honesty is key here. Now, envisage your destination. What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? Set those goals. Make them smart. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. With your destination locked, it's time to map out your plan. Break down your goals into manageable steps, then start stepping. Remember, action without reflection is aimless. Record your results, analyze your performance, and adjust your plan accordingly. The path to success in 2024 isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Take meaningful action, keep your eye on the prize, and continually strive for improvement. Here's to a successful 2024.